as we start another week of Trunk Nation on this Monday. And before we wrap up, coming up at the top of the hour, Kevin Cronin of REO Speedwagon making his way out of here and joining us now via the phone line. Very excited to have with me from Alice in Chains, Jerry Cantrell. Jerry, how are you, man?
What's happening, dude? I'm good.
Good. Kevin Cronin from REO, who was just on his way out of here, said, make sure you say hi to Jerry.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, he's a great guy, man. Great voice.
Yeah, he is. Still, after all these years, that's what I said to him. Yet so many of those guys have been doing it for 40, 50 years, and they can't sing it anymore, but he can still belt it out.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Alice in Chains, I know you guys over the years have been on some interesting bills, but did you ever tour with REO Speedwagon?
We never did that, but in the early days, we had a pretty disparate, group of folks that we'd play with anybody. When somebody would cancel for an opener in Seattle, we'd play with anybody from, we played with everybody from Poison to Slayer to Iggy Pop to Extreme. We opened for Helix once, for God's sakes.
Wow, you got your heavy metal love on right there, man.
Yeah, dude, we did. Yeah, that was one of our first gigs with a bigger band. We opened up for those guys right in front of the Seattle Center. Yeah.
Did when you were on bills like that back in the day, and of course everybody knows Clash of the Titans, you guys did, but when you were on some of those bills, did you always go over, or were some of them really rough?
Well, we always kind of took it as a challenge, playing maybe with a band that we didn't quite kind of fit with, you know what I mean? And it was always a challenge, and it was also a group of people that maybe might not be, they're not your fans, so that we did a lot of gigs like that for the first couple of years that we were a band. And I think it made us a better band because sometimes it was pretty rough, sometimes we were playing while things were being thrown and stuff was raining from the sky on us, but that happened to us opening for Slayer at Red Rocks in Denver. It's a classic show. For our whole set, we basically had to dodge stuff for 30 minutes or whatever while everybody was throwing stuff at us, and we kind of started throwing stuff back and continuing to play. I remember meeting some Slayer fans after that, and they were walking over to us. I'm like, oh, these guys are going to kick our ass. And they're like, and they walked over and they're like, hey, you didn't give up. You didn't quit. I guess you're all right. So
yeah, and as I'm sure you well know, that's kind of commonplace with Slayer. I mean, not so much now. I was talking to somebody about that the other day. In the last 10 years or so, not that Slayer is mellowed, but it seems like the audience is a little bit more objective. But but earlier than that, I mean, it didn't.
Well, we're all getting older.
But I even see girls at Slayer shows. I see women at Slayer shows now. Yeah. You never saw that before.
Yeah.
But
they've got a dedicated following for sure.
Yeah, but nobody opened for Slayer. I used to introduce Slayer when they played New York, and I was actually one of the people that played their records on my show in New York. And I remember Mike Piazza, the baseball player, is a good friend. He would come to the shows. He'd stand on the side of the stage, and he'd be like, dude, they're even booing you, and you actually play their records. I was like, yeah, but Mike, Slayer fans boo everything. It's kind of what you do.
Yeah. And they're definitely a band. They're definitely a band you don't want to play after either. They're one of a handful of bands that you just don't want to play after. In my opinion,
Right.
They're so great.
Well, before we talk a few minutes on what you got going on as far as music is concerned, we want to mention something very cool that's happening, the Alice in Chains Fantasy Football League Draft and Charity Auction, and this is going to take place on Tuesday, September 5th, 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports, and that is channel 210 on Sirius, channel 87 on XM, and, of course, on the Sirius XM app, and you can find the auction items at ebay.com/Alice-in-chains. Tell us a little bit about this, Jerry. Are you I imagine you're a big football fan and a big fantasy guy as well?
Yeah, Mike and I have always been big football fans, and Mike actually kind of got me interested in fantasy football about 10 years ago, invited me to be in a league with him and some friends. And after doing that for a couple of years, it was really fun, kind kind of opened up your eyes to other teams in the league rather than just your team, and so you kind of got a wider scope of the NFL, and it was just kind of fun to do. And I thought, well, why don't we just do this for charity? We'll get a bunch of our friends in the music business, some people in the sports world, maybe in actors and stuff too, and we'll do a charity league, and every year we'll try to raise money, and we'll give it away to the winner's charity of choice. So you still got something to fight for. This last year, of course, I won for the first time, by the way.
Wow.
Took me 8 years to be the champ, but I'm the champ this year. So we're giving so I'm choosing MusiCares and Music for Relief. We'll split the proceeds. Yeah.
And the Music for Relief, One More Light Fund in memory of Chester Bennington, right?
Yeah. We're actually making the donations, and the Music for Relief donation will be in Chester's name, and the donation to MusiCares will be in Chris's name. Yeah.
Can you since you are making those donations to both Chester and Chris, who we tragically lost recently, can you give us a little something on either of those guys? And I imagine with Chris especially, you had a huge history with.
Yeah, much closer and longer history with Chris for sure. But both of them I had the fortune to spend time with and be friends with and be around. And there were they're two of the finest human beings I know. I've ever had the pleasure to know. So it is a huge loss. But they both left a some really amazing music behind, and trying to do a little positive recognition for both of them. That's all, just making a donation. So,
well, it's very, very cool that you're doing that. eBay.com/Alice-in-chains for more information on the auction items. Off the top of your head, do you know what's up there as far as the auction items that are some of the marquee things right now?
I don't know what. Don't have the page in front of me. I know we got some stuff from Zach. We got a guitar from me, Duff Crew and a bass. I think we have the last couple of years we've actually expanded outside the league to be able to. We've had a lot of friends donate stuff as well. I think Robert Downey Jr. Donated his Iron Man kind of little button or whatever that he signed.
Wow,
I forget what they call it.
That's huge, though, for fans of that sort of stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. We had Renner and Robert in the league 2 years ago, so it was kind of fun. We had a couple of Avengers in the league.
I got to ask you this, man. On fantasy football, I'm a huge football fan. First of all, who's your team? Is your team? Who's your football team that you root for in the pros?
Seattle Seahawks. That's the hometown team.
Right.
But I'm also old enough to have been a fan of football before we got the Seahawks. So I was a Steelers fan back then. So I still am. I still love both the teams. So
here's my issue, because I'm a massive NFL guy and a massive New York Giants fan. That's my team, right? So I've never gotten into fantasy and really in any way. I've never been in a league, never done it. My friends do the drafting and all that, and I've never done it because my thing about it is I have friends of mine that are in it, and they find themselves rooting against some of their own team and their players because they need to make these fantasy numbers. I'm like, are you guys out of your fucking mind? It's like there's no circumstance on the planet I could find myself rooting for somebody on the Cowboys as a Giants fan.
Yeah. Home team always comes first. Your team always comes first. Fantasy football comes second. But it is, it is kind of an odd thing that you end up caring about a receiver on the Jacksonville Jaguars, or whether the kicker for the Browns makes a couple of field goals, because your team is made up of players of all teams. You have 16 players from various teams, and it's just kind of a, it's for me, being a huge fan of it, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. It just kind of makes you a little bit more aware of the whole league as a whole, and I've been a fan. It's really the only sport I care about. So it's fun to do, and what we're doing here with it, there's a lot of other folks that do the same thing, and I think it's great. You get to be a football fan nut, and at the same time, you get to actually do a little competition between your bros and raise some money for some good causes every year.
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously, it's absolutely huge. And I get all that. It's just for me, these TV shows come on and these radio shows come on, and I'm listening to them and I'm listening to them talk about stats and stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. Oh, it's one of those fantasy shows. Like, oh, my God. But the thing I get about it is the fact that, like, for me, I watch the Giants. Those 3 hours a week are sacred for me, and I'll watch other games. Like, I'm with you. Football's my favorite sport, so football's the only sport I'll watch two other teams playing. It doesn't have to be my team.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
it does keep you interested even in blowout games, right? Because you're worried about and rooting for the outcomes of certain players versus what the total score is.
Yeah, well, blowout games are actually great for your players to be able to make points, because if the other team is up so much and your guy's not having such a good day, once they pull their first string, they can start racking up points on the back end. So that's kind of nice too. They call it garbage time. The game's over, it doesn't matter, but your guy could still be getting a touchdown and 80 yards or whatever, and that all counts. So it's fun. It's a goofy, geeky thing to do. I guess.
Right.
There's a huge community that has a lot of fun doing it, and I've been really fortunate also to be become friends with a lot of the guys who kind of do that, like John Hansen and Michael Fabiano and Matt Berry and Rich Eisen, a lot of the guys in that sort of world. So it's been really fun getting to know those guys and also picking their brain because they're like the top guys doing that, So yeah.
So the draft for this year is going to take place on September 5th. People are going to be able to hear the draft live as it happens on the SiriusXM Fantasy channel. Is that the idea?
That's right. We did it last year. We're going to do it. We're going to do another live draft this year as well. So Sirius has really stepped up and got behind us and helped us kind of, get a bigger platform to kind of get it out to people, let them know what we're doing, and help us in the process of raising some funds for charity. So
going into this draft, Jerry Cantrell, the football GM, if you can pick three guys that nobody else has that you could start your team with, who's the three guys you're picking?
Well, the last couple of years with fantasy football, the old way to do it was really loading up on running backs, and it's a really key position. So you would probably spend your first couple of picks on some decent, really strong running backs, But the receiver position has become a little bit more important too. So the last couple of years, I've actually been going towards receivers. So I'm usually picking like Julio Jones or Julio Jones or Antonio Brown. Like a number one, the top receiver in the league.
Whoa! Now the Giants fan in me is going to start chiming in there because we've got an elite receiver.
He's in there too.
All right.
He's in there too. Those three guys are the top guys for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. But the Seahawks fan in you, do you just because you're a Seahawks fan, do you take Russell Wilson if he's there, or you can't play that hometown allegiance thing?
Well, you can really mess yourself up by doing that. I have this conversation with Duff McKagan every year, and he never listens to me. He always ends up with five Seahawks on his team, and he loses every year. And I'm like, dude, get one guy on your team. But if the Seahawks have a bad game, all your guys have a bad game. So just have one guy that has a bad game. You get your homer pick. I usually have a Steeler. I got and a Seahawk. So I'm good. But you definitely want to spread it around to different teams. Otherwise, if you're too heavy on one team, you're dependent on what that performance is, and it can affect like half your team if the team has a bad game. So,
see, I know why I can't do this now because I'm such a homer. I couldn't do it. Like the draft happens, even though I know Eli's not the best quarterback, I'm taking him. It's like it's ridiculous. I can't bring myself to root for, especially if it would be. Under no circumstances could I take anybody from the Cowboys, the Redskins, or the Eagles because I have to root against them violently every week. So
it's a bit of a confliction.
I can't. It doesn't work for me. I got the page up, by the way, for the Alice in Chains charity auction, which is on eBay. You have some incredible stuff here. You've got your own guitar signed. You've got stuff from the Cult. You've got a Guns N' Roses one you mentioned. Deftones.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Stone Sour, the Zakk Wylde guitar, which is one of his own line that he came out with. You even got some country stuff in here.
You can take a guitar lesson from me, for that matter, if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
Want to donate some money, I'll give you a guitar lesson.
Jerry Cantrell, private guitar lesson. That's up to $3,150 with 49 bits.
Our good friend Elton John came through about a week and a half ago and donated his personal private box to a couple of people to come see his show in his private box.
Wow, yeah, I see that on here now, too. That's amazing. Yeah. That is very, very cool. Blue Man Group stuff, and you've got all sorts of cool Linkin Park autographed tour poster. So Vinnie Paul autographed drum head. So check Anthrax. Our mutual buddy Scott has got some stuff up there.
Yep.
So again, go to the eBay page and you can help out that way as well. ebay.com/Alice-in-chains. Jerry, before I let you roll, what can you tell us on the music side? You guys working on music?
Yeah, we're in the process of cobbling together some tunes, and hopefully in the very near future we'll have something out for you guys. Yeah.
You got a target date? You want to get it out this year? You thinking next year?
I don't know. We'll see. When we're ready, we'll let you know.
All right.
But and we are in the process of working on stuff. Yeah.
So have you started recording, or is it just writing at this point?
I'm not going to say.
Okay. Well, I get that, because I do like this trend that some bands are going down where they just kind of drop stuff on you. They don't let you know every little gory detail, and we've seen that happen a few times. A few bands have done that recently that I think has been pretty cool.
I will say we got a few things brewing, so
all right.
It probably won't be too much longer. Yeah.
And live shows, anything lined up, or that's to come as well?
Yeah, that's probably the part of the whole package. But again, we get one step at a time. We can't go out and do that until we make a great record, in our opinion, and then hopefully a few other people like it too.
And the last thing, I love your solo records. Is there a side of you that would like to do another one of those at some point?
Yeah, probably. Down the road, I wouldn't rule it out. I just, Alice has always been my number one concern since I started the band with the guys, and that's kind of where my heart's always been. So it takes plenty to one band's plenty. Yeah. I mean, one band's plenty of attention, and this is where my heart's always been, and I'm still happy to be here working with the guys, moving forward, making music.
Well, that's refreshing to hear in a day and age when every guy seems to be in 5 bands at the same time, that you're happy to just hang your hat on one.
I just don't have the energy for that. I hats off to all those guys. I think I'm a little too lazy. Yeah. one band's enough. Yeah, for me. Yeah, I'm good.
Well, listen, man. Good luck with your football draft and this auction. It's great stuff that you're doing, and I look forward to hearing the new music. And maybe when that's ready, we'll get to spend some time again.
Cool. Thanks, Eddie. Thanks for helping us get the word out.
Absolutely, yeah. Jerry. Take care, man. Thanks for calling.
Cool. All right, dude.
See you, man. Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains checking in, giving us some time here as we get ready to close out this week's edition of Trunk Nation. Again, this day's edition. We're at the start of the week. We still have 4 more days to go. ebay.com/Alice-in-chains for the auction items, and there's some really cool stuff up there. And again, listen to the draft with Jerry and his guests for the Alice in Chains Fantasy Football League draft and charity auction. You can hear it here on Sirius XM Tuesday, September 5th, 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and that is on Channel 210 on Sirius, Channel 87 if you have XM Radio, Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio.